Hello, welcome back to the channel and to Crime Simulator on the PS5. I've been playing this quite a bit off camera, so it felt like a good time to do a kind of updated video on the game's mechanics and hopefully pass on some recommendations. So, backstory is that we've been bailed out of prison and we now have a $10,000 debt to repay. This is our safe house. And first thing I would say is that you have increasing increments of value that you need to basically steal and fence. So to start out with, you'll need to get $1,000 worth of goods. You can send that off by dropping them into the crate and pressing the lever. And my top tip there would be put 1 or 2 items in at a time, because ideally you only just want to be making your quota. If you put more goods in than you need to, then it won't take it off your next target. I do think it gives you some in-game credits, but I'm not exactly sure how many. And so what I tend to do is basically loot as much as I possibly can, as I'll illustrate here, and put what I don't need into storage so that we can start using that towards the next target. I do think that it would be quite difficult, particularly in solo player mode, to go out within the 3 days and meet one of the larger quotas, like the $4,000 one is the highest I've got so far, because every 3 days we can go do 3 runs. Our introductory map is going to be Rural Street, and on Rural Street we've got a couple of things we can do. So the properties, locations, top tip here, have a look on Rural Street, and what will happen is you will get a kind of inventory of what you can steal from each of these properties. So if we go to Dave's, for example, you can see that there are a total of 53 loot items in there, and currently I've had 12 of them. There's also some VIP loot in there, which I've not come across on any of my run-throughs yet. And you can see there that you can also use some in-game currency to unlock some tenant information and hints. So the 2 currencies that are in the game, we have dollars. So the dollars are what we're going to use to repay our debts. So that's through stealing various items and selling them. And there's also some currency, so some credits. So if we look down at the bottom right of the screen, you can see that in red there, that shows your dollars. So how many you need to fence, how much you currently have, how many days you have left as well. So you get 3 days on each run. If you don't meet your quota, you've got no choice but to finalise the delivery, come up short, and unfortunately a sniper will basically kill you, and you start from scratch. So it is kind of a rogue-light type of game. At various points when I've failed, which I have done quite consistently, because it can be quite challenging, you do get some unlockables. So for example, you might get the option to increase your inventory. So the credits are used for a couple of things in game. We are going to use them for the store to buy things that will make our job easier. So my top tips there are a simple locksmith lockpicking set is for me a must buy to be able to get in and out of properties easily, and also certainly early in game as well, it's worth picking up a glass knife, because then you can take the glass panels out of windows. And that's a good approach to take, is that once you're in the properties, get as many exit points as you can. You'll be able to tell where people are within the properties via a couple of different things. You can either get them into your field of view, and that will tag them for a certain amount of time, or you can have a look whether the lights are on in the room. A light on in the room is a good indicator that the characters are in there. And you can also study their movements as well, so they'll have the same kind of movements, and patience really is key. So you can sneak around and do some of your looting. One of the nice kind of elements of the game is that there is a little bit of AI, in that if you, for example, unlock something and fail to close the door or leave a drawer open, then the characters will notice that and then they'll be relocked. That can also lead to them increasing the security level. So that might mean that there's an extra security camera, or if you are very unlucky, then they'll install some security shutters, and that makes access a little bit more difficult. If you are discovered, two different things are likely to happen. If they are armed, essentially, or most likely with baseball bats, then you will unfortunately be clubbed unconscious, and that will end your day and anything that you've looted up to that point. If they contact the police, then there will be a red circle on your minimap, which is up there in the top right, that you need to get out of that area as quickly as you can. It does work off line of sight, so you'll get a little red cross on your minimap that shows which direction they're pursuing you. So it is important to break that line of sight to be able to escape, basically. And there will be stamina that comes into play as well at that point. The rest of the game you can run through, there's no stamina involved, but once you're being chased, it will come into play. And if you are captured, then you'll be tasered or beaten unconscious, and again, you lose your day and everything that you've built up to that point. So it's really about risk and reward, is that you want to be able to get as much as you can on each of those runs to start building up a bit of a reserve to meet the higher targets. But the more you risk, the more you're likely to lose. The other option for the in-game credits is to unlock these other areas. I've not done that as yet. So that's going to be interesting. And your deliveries as well, once you've put them into your shopping basket, there'll be a little drone that delivers it. Top tip there, which it does say on screen, is don't stand under the drone, because when it drops it on you, it can basically kill you. And again, you lose a day. So those are the game's core mechanics. You've got 3 days to go onto one of those areas and to loot the properties and meet your quota. I've not yet been able to get past the first one, and I've played the game quite a bit, and I've learnt the patterns and routines and the good properties on the map. So although it's a fairly isolated area and there's some repetition, I have still found that quite enjoyable in terms of just trying to kind of do a little bit better on each of the runs. And the other thing that I would say is the multiplayer option really does add an extra element as well. So you can play offline, you can play solo, which is the gameplay loop that we've talked about there. I do believe that, I've not worked out how you can do it yet, that you can unlock essentially an endless mode where there's no time limit and you can just go and basically loot to your heart's content. But with multiplayer, it does add an extra level of enjoyment, in my opinion, in that you can have up to 4 players. So you play an online game, you get given a code, and then your friends can use that code to come and basically join the same game. And that means that you can then have one person as a lookout whilst the other one loots, and then swap that over and really kind of build up the value. So with the actual areas themselves, there's going to be set amounts of loot, and that's not kind of replenished every day, it's per playthrough. So with if I just go back to it, if I go back to Dave's house, which is one that has quite a good loot level, then you can see there that once I've got all those 53 items, they're not going to kind of drop back in again. They're not going to respawn, but I believe that by looting the entire property, you do get some in-game credits as well to be able to unlock things. Other things just to very quickly touch upon are the other things on your computer. So we covered briefly the store that we can use in-game credits to buy things that are going to help us out, and they'll get unlocked as we go through the playthrough. The jobs are put into different categories, and as you can see, they will be jobs around those properties. So you can see there, destroying a lamp, destroy the bathroom mirror, and that's going to reward us with some in-game credits there, and also some dollars that help us move through the progression. And the reason we need to move through the progression is that whilst we can learn skills through finding magazines dotted throughout the environments, we do need skill points to be able to read them. So that's where that comes into play. As well as the skill points, it's going to give us some dollar rewards towards our all-important quota as well. Item requests, there will be specific combinations of goods that people want. So if you are quite comfortably going to be meeting your quota, then you could focus on these things. So whilst individually they might not be so valuable, so if we go up to the top there, I've not actually seen an Express coffee machine, but at the moment we've got a gaming keyboard, I believe, and a gaming monitor. So if we were to find a gaming mouse, we would then be rewarded with $1,250 and 25 XP as well. Smartphones, get the idea. I won't go through each one of them. That's not something I've gone into a great deal at the moment, but that is another option to meet your quota and make progression throughout the game. So it is fairly in-depth. Last thing to touch upon is that we can also furnish our safe house. I'm not entirely sure what these add, other than the obvious. So if a shelf, you can store more items. The first aid kit, if you are taking damage, so if you do get hit with a baseball bat or anything like that, then right down in the bottom left there, you probably can't see it very clearly, but there's a silhouette of your character that will fill up in red. So there we go. That's a little bit more in-depth than the original. Still an easy recommend for me. At the price point, it's a pretty polished product with some depth to it. There's definitely replayability, and with that multiplayer option tagged on, there's another way to experience the game as well. As always, thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you could hit that subscribe button, it just means my content reaches a wider audience.